welcome back to our podcast, Wandering Works for Us. I'm Shelley.
And I'm Beth.
And we're back today with another podcast about our English road trip series. Yay.
Yeah.
The trip I was so excited to go on.
You were excited.
I was because we were seeing our friends, of course. So
yes.
That made it great. So in this episode, we're going to leave the Cotswolds for the day, and we are going to Bakewell.
Bakewell.
Why Bakewell?
Bakewell, well, the tarts, obviously.
The tarts.
Which we'll tell you about, but also we wanted to go to Haddon Hall, which is right there outside of Bakewell.
So it seemed like the perfect place to stop in between on our way to Scotland, I guess.
Yes, because our point or our mission was to, after the Cotswolds, to kind of work our way up England and cross over and end up in Edinburgh.
Oh, okay. And so Bakewell it was.
Yes.
I liked Bakewell. The drive up was pretty easy. It was about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it was about 2.5 hours, which was kind of what we had decided our max per day was.
Yeah.
And that is the reason that we didn't just haul it all the way to York.
Yeah.
We decided to stop halfway. And Bakewell is a market town. And it was very charming, I thought.
It was very charming.
I mean, we were only there for 2 nights.
Yes.
So we didn't have, a lot of time to explore. But
no, but it was a great stopover. We stayed in a place called the Castle Inn, which is a Green King Inn.
Yes. I had always wanted to stay in an inn that's attached to a pub. I don't know.
It sounds very romantic.
It does,
doesn't it?
But I mean, it just sounds very cool. And so we did it twice. We did it here, and then we did it
in Corbridge.
Which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
Well, Green King, those pubs are always good. They may not be spectacular. Some of them are, but they are always reliable.
Yes, and that's a good way to put them. They're reliable. They're going to have the good English ales and...
Yep, and they're consistent with stuff like, if they serve breakfast.
There's always fish and chips and a pie.
Yeah, there's always fish and chips and a pie, not for breakfast, but another time. And so that served us well for this portion of the trip. We stayed in one of the very old rooms that had the original floors, and the door opened out onto the actual where the tables were outside,
where the
kind
pub
of like
was outside,
the old motels, And it was basic but clean.
Yes.
Yeah.
We would call it. I think we called it rustic.
Yeah, it was a little rustic,
but the beds were comfortable.
They were.
It was quiet at night, even though we were at the pub.
Yes.
I believe the pub closed kind of early anyway, I want to say. Early for a pub, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like 11 or something.
Well, they have to close by 11, right?
I don't know.
In England? I think so.
It may be. And then so, there weren't people outside partying all night. Our door, we just, we were able to sleep. And there wasn't that much traffic out there either at night. So the noise was fine. That's what I was worried about when we, got there. I was like, am I going to be up all night listening to cars?
Yeah. Well, the thing is also it was the middle of May. And if you're there the middle of July, it might be a different story.
It could be a different story.
I don't know. But it was good. And I liked Bakewell, as we said. I thought it was charming. And even though it's touristy, a lot of tourists do go there. It didn't feel as touristy as like Burton on the Water.
God, no. This was much more low-key charm.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
It's got 3 things I think we were looking for while we were there. Number 1, we arrived on a Monday because we wanted to go to the famous Monday market just to check it out. And it is basically a flea market. So it sold clothes and tools and plants and household items. And they went on through the afternoon. I think we got there maybe around lunchtime. We were starving and needed a bathroom. And then Yeah, and then it went for a little bit more in the afternoon. There wasn't anything there that we wanted to buy because, of course, we don't need household items on our trip. We're
Right.
looking for souvenirs. But it was a neat experience to see what the market looked like.
It was, and it has been going on for, I can't remember how many years, but a very long time.
You said hundreds of years, I think, or something.
Yeah, it
like
is,
that.
but I don't know how many. And it was probably, back in the day, there was probably butchers out there, and
Yeah.
I can imagine that it was very different,
And where they had the market was a very charming part of town where it had all these different shops, and it wasn't just for tourists, it was for like pet owners, and there were clothes shops, and people live in this village, so they do all their business there, so it was set up for that.
Yes, it was.
But then they also had a plethora of Bakewell tart shops because,
They
of
did.
course, you've got to taste the Bakewell
Famous
tart.
Bakewell tart.
And we discovered there were 3 basic types. You have your first one that has it looks like a pie with cream on top and a cherry on top.
And it's the one you usually see in the Instagram photos.
Right. There's one that's more like a square that has the cherry on the bottom and then it has almonds on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the divine one, which is called a Bakewell pudding.
And it is a pie crust, right?
Yes.
It was a pie crust. And then I think we maybe described it as like a firm pecan pie kind of consistency.
On top of it, yes.
Yeah.
It's really hard to describe what this pudding looks like.
is.
I'll post a picture, of course.
I mean, it has cherry in it, of course, because it's a Bakewell item. But that was by far our favorite. We tried all 3.
It had the best flavor. It had the best consistency. We went to 2 different ones in town, and one of them we had, of course, a cup of coffee and the tart at the place. And then the second time we had been out shopping and doing some things, and we decided we needed a beer, but we popped over and bought one of these tarts and then went into
One
a
of
pub.
the puddings.
The puddings, I'm sorry, we bought a pudding.
Yes.
And then we went into a pub and we split our pudding with a beer, and oh my goodness.
And it wasn't just the beer that made it better.
No, we ended up going the next day and buying new
to
ones
take
to
with
take
us
on the road.
for snacks. Yes, they were very, very good. And a hilarious thing that happened is we posted about them and tagged them because we're following them now. And somebody said, "Oh, from the United States."
It was Sheila, actually.
Oh, it was Sheila from. Hi, Sheila, from the United States, and she said, "Oh my goodness, I wish I could get one of these." And the shop owner chimed in and said, "We post.
We post the pie.
You too can get one."
So there is a link on the blog, and I'll put one in the show notes also, but you can post a pie from Bakewell Pudding Parlor.
Yeah,
That's where you need to go.
Bakewell Pudding Parlor.
And they have the best ones.
Yes, absolutely.
Hands down.
Highly recommend.
Totally. I'll also say, before we jump into, of course, the main attraction that we went to in Bakewell, is that it is a lovely city. It's totally walkable and a
Very
beautiful
much.
city to walk through. And there was one evening where, after dinner, that I decided I needed to go out and do some walking because I needed to get some energy out, or I just needed some alone time or something. And I trudged out through the city, and it was fairly early still. It was like maybe 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Was it dark?
No.
Yeah.
Now, it was May, of course, so in summertime, sunset's pretty late. But there were only a few people out, one person walking a dog. All the shops were closed. Everybody's sidewalk was kind of rolled up.
I was just going to say, we used to call that rolling up the sidewalk.
There was nobody out, and the sunset was beautiful, and I got some fantastic photos of the town, but I was like, this town is so quiet.
I bet everyone was home having dinner.
They may have been. Well, it's English, so at 8 o'clock at night, no, they were done with dinner.
Well, that's true. They eat early.
They eat earlier.
They eat earlier than the Portuguese.
Yeah.
And other Europeans. But yeah, it was a sweet little town. We also took a walk along the River Wye, which is Uye, right?
Why? Yes.
And they've done a really great job building walking a huge, deep walking path area. So you can walk, you can bike, there's benches to sit on. There's loads of ducks and geese and swans. And if you take bread, they will actually get out of the water and come up and eat. And some people were doing that. And it was just a really lovely walk. I really enjoyed it.
Yes. Even on a, not so sunny day, I think it would be a lovely walk.
Yeah, it would. Stone houses along there, a stone bridge going over. It was really pretty.
Oh, that was a Roman bridge, by the way.
Oh,
that went over in Bakewell.
That's right. That was a Roman bridge. Shelley has to point out the Roman stuff.
Find the Roman things. So
Yeah. That was a Roman bridge. So that was really fun, the town. But the big thing that we were there for really was to go to Haddon Hall.
Yes.
And to kind of set this up, I have been following Haddon Hall on Instagram for, 5 or 6 years or something. And they are a family. It's Lord Edward Manners. He and his wife and their 2 children actually live there. And they bring in visitors and do those things because they are, it's helping to fund the restoration of the place. It was built in the Middle Ages, so it is, I can't do that.
900 years old.
There we go. 900 plus years old. And what's so cool about it is this family actually also owns Belvoir Castle, Belvoir.
I think they called it Belvoir, but they also called it Beaver Castle.
That's right. Beaver Castle.
It wasn't Belvoir.
Yeah, they call it Beaver. Beaver Castle. So Lord Edward is the second son. The first son, his brother, the Duke of Rutland, actually lives in Belvoir or Beaver Castle. And what happened is right before the Victorian era, the family, it's always been in the same family. So the family then decided to make Belvoir Castle their main residence. So they basically closed up this one, Haddon Hall. They basically closed it up. They kept it up, but they just kind of left it closed. And so it did not go through all of the Victorian improvements and the things after that.
Redecorations.
Yeah, it wasn't updated, and so it is still very medieval in character, and it is incredible.
Yes.
And the family that lives there is very committed to restoring it because, of course, age takes its toll, to restoring it, but keeping it as it is. Mm-hmm. Now, they, of course, have private family quarters where I'm sure they have a very nice stove and dishwasher and all of that, to live their lives.
Be a little warmer than the rest of the house.
Yeah,
maybe.
Be a little warmer and all of that. But they are very committed to restoring it. And the grounds, I can't remember how many thousands of acres goes with it. Thousands, though.
It has to be thousands.
It's thousands. And they have land management people because they have cattle and sheep and dairies and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So why were you excited to go to Haddon Hall?
Well, you gave me 2 choices. Chatsworth or Haddon Hall. Which one of these in the area do you want to go see? I get excited when it's like, ooh, mansion, gardens, yay. But Haddon Hall, number 1, was medieval, and it kept a lot of its medievalness, so that was going to be cool to see. But also, The Princess Bride was filmed there.
One of our favorites.
So, we were on the movie tour, remember? So we moved from Harry Potter to The Princess Bride. Don't worry, we were going back to Harry Potter when we hit York.
Yeah.
But it was neat to see that part. And where they had filmed it was the main square when you walk through the main gate. And there's a guy there that greets you and says hello and, tells you all about the tours that may be going on that day. You come out into the main square and you can see over to the right is the big archway where Buttercup comes through when they announce that she's going to marry Prince Humperdinck. Okay. And, and the prince is up against the castle on a
balustrade.
A balustrade. Thank you for your technical.
You're welcome.
And so you get to see that part of it. And of course, it's the same one that they go storming the castle when it's time to storm the castle and rescue the princess and
Have fun
rescue
storming the castle.
everyone. Yeah, that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, and I pulled up the picture while I was standing there of Buttercup coming through that main door when they announced her. And I pulled it up and I looked at it side by side and went, Yep, that's it. And it was really cool to take pictures of that. One of the things that I was really excited about was their chapel.
Oh, yeah.
Which is also just off that square because they have what are called dry frescoes, which is a little unusual. I mean, dry frescoes are other places, but they are much more, there's much fewer of them than there are what is a wet fresco.
What's the difference?
One's
wet and one's dry.
One,
it's wet, but it's dry.
One is almost more like, and this is a very simplified kind of thing, but one would be sort of like doing a painting, and that would be a wet fresco.
Okay.
The other one would almost be like chalk, except it's not, but it's dry. You don't, there's no water. Or there's no liquid involved.
I learned something new today.
Yeah, and it's actually a much more technical explanation than that. But that's a good way to imagine it.
Okay.
Is one is dry, and the other one is more like painting.
Okay.
And so, as you can imagine, a wet fresco, you can get much more color, much more vibrant color into. And I think that's probably why it was much more popular. I'm not sure about the difficulty of one versus the other. I mean, wet frescoes you could correct, and a dry fresco would be harder to correct. But anyway, enough about that. So they have dry frescoes in this chapel, and they are incredible. Some of them need quite a bit of restoration work, and that's part of what they're raising money to do. They'll get to the chapel and do that. They've already done some work in preservation work in the chapel to shore it up and
I think it was stained glass work.
And repairing the stained glass windows and that kind of stuff. And the other thing I really love about the restoration that's happening there is they didn't just do like new stained glass. They actually took the old stained glass and it was repaired and restored and put back as it was and then put in. And so it's just a very thoughtful restoration of this place. And we also got to tour the Great Hall. There was something in the Great Hall that you loved. What was it?
Oh, it was that table that they had in there. They had the original Grand Hall table that everyone feasted at. And they had it turned over for some reason, like the top of it turned over.
Yeah,
but underneath...
tilts.
Oh, it tilts? Okay.
It tilts.
Well, see, because underneath they had all the pock marks and the way it's been dug out and the knife gouges and everything from hundreds of years of use, and so that was really cool to see.
Yeah, it was.
And it had the original tapestries back behind it.
Yes.
I mean, the great thing about this is they've got a medieval hall and they haven't made it a modern hall. It's still so
it's actually the medieval stuff.
So all the stuff that you see in there, except maybe, the leather couches that they've put by the fireplace or whatever to hang out with.
There is a massive fireplace in there, and they keep a fire going for guests coming in because it can be quite cold in there.
In May, it was cold.
And it was cold in May. And then there are these gorgeous leather couches, sofas and love seats, really, that are kind of grouped around that, modern ones. And the family, she showed it on Instagram one time and said, after the guests leave, we actually come down here and hang out by the fire and enjoy this area. And so the tapestries are beautiful. And then we also got to hear a guide talking about the kitchen, which of course is not the kitchen they use. They have a modern kitchen in their quarters, but this was the original kitchen where they had the system from the mill that brought in the water down a little chute. And they had it in a big basin where the live fish were to keep them fresh and all of that. We think the actual cooking with fires was done in the building next to that, because usually those were not attached to it.
Which is now the cafe.
Which is now a cafe and tea room, which we recommend if you want to see it or eat at it. But yeah, the kitchen was really cool. The original tops on, that they actually used during that time.
So on this tour, you get to see that great hall. You get to see the square and the church and the frescoes and the kitchens. You get to see their dining hall, which is a nice room with a little parlor off to the side.
Has a very historically significant ceiling in there in the dining hall.
Do you care to explain on that?
Well, I'm forgetting exactly what it's called. And it's not on our notes here, but I'm going to look and you go ahead.
I didn't. That's not something that I thought of until you did.
You go ahead.
And then you can go outside the area and look at the gardens. They have a beautiful fountain up there. They have a nice little area with just all these different plants and flowers. And in May it was beautiful. And you can look out over the grounds and see the sheep grazing on the hill and the River Wye flowing through the area. I mean, gosh, it is quite romantic, as a castle should be.
Yes, it is.
And then you can go upstairs, and we saw, I remember 2 rooms, 3 rooms. One of them was almost like a great hall that had a great table in it, but I think it was more like a sitting parlor area.
Yes.
And then that led back into a back room where out on the fireplace they had signatures of famous people like Princess Anne and King Charles when they had visited the place.
Yes.
That was really cool.
And Prince Charles and Anne had done it when they were young. And then Prince Charles had signed it again when he was there in the early 2000s or something.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, it was cool.
But it was when he was still a prince and not quite king yet. And then there's another great long hall, which I'm going to assume should have been an art gallery at some point. But it was just this long, skinny room.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it was a ballroom.
Beautiful floors. It seems to me like it'd be too skinny to be a ballroom, but it may have been.
Maybe.
But it was just a long room with beautiful windows and, of course, artwork hanging from the ceiling. And you could see back in the back where they were restoring a bedroom in the very back there where the ceiling had fell in with this plaque up against it that said something like they were greatly surprised to know that the ceiling had fallen in because of termites or bugs or some sort of thing. And I was like, well, it's old.
Yeah.
These things happen.
Well, they didn't know about it though, and so
it was a surprise
when
the ceiling fell in.
The ceiling fell and they discovered it. Yeah, and this, back to the dining room, it is a Tudor period painted ceiling of Tudored roses, and then it has what they call heraldic paneling in it. And it is special because a lot of that got painted over in the Victorian and periods after that. And so, the tapestry that we were talking about was gifted to the family by Henry the 13th. No, V and 3.
That's Henry the 8th.
Excuse me.
That's a big one.
Henry the 8th is the one that gave them that tapestry.
Man, that's big.
And then in the long gallery, here it is. These are Elizabethan rooms because below were Tudor and medieval rooms.
Oh my gosh.
And then upstairs on the first floor, it's technically Elizabethan. And this is what you were talking about, the 110-foot long gallery.
Yes.
Reputed to be one of the most beautiful rooms in England. And one of the things that's so beautiful about it is the gorgeous leaded glass, original glass, the tiny little thousands of panes of it in these big windows looking out onto the garden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
It's, as you can tell, I loved it, and so did Shelley in the end.
It was definitely worth to see. It was worth it. And at the end, when we came back out to the main square where they filmed The Princess Bride, there's also a tiny artifact museum back in there. Do you remember that? Where they had put on display a lot of the stuff that they'd found like in the walls when they were restoring things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you can go back and see buttons and coins, old coins and nails and shoes. I don't know how in the world they got like children's shoes back there, but they did. So as they're doing the restoration work, they're finding all of these different artifacts from, hundreds of years ago. So that's really cool to see.
I'd forgotten about that. Yeah, be sure and see that.
Yep.
And we should mention that there is no real gift shop.
No.
If you're go to a castle and buy souvenirs or cool stuff.
No Princess Bride stuff.
There's no Princess Bride stuff. There's no real. There are a few things for kids, and I think maybe there were magnets. Maybe.
I didn't even see what there was.
I'm not even sure.
It's at the kiosk.
Where you buy your ticket, and it's just kind of hanging on the two doors that open up the kiosk. Mm-hmm. There's a few things. Yeah, so there isn't a ton of stuff to buy there. But do go buy tea and cakes, because those were very good.
Yes, we went and had scones and tea afterwards with cream on
clotted
them.
cream.
My God.
Boy.
It was a perfect British day.
It was indeed.
That might have been also the day that we ended up getting the puddings and the beer afterwards. It's all starting to run together right now, but yes.
It is. It is. Yeah, so I highly recommend a visit to Haddon Hall if you like castles, medieval, beautiful grounds and gardens.
Just visiting, old English manor houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recommend it.
Perfect. All right, well, I think that's it for this episode.
It is.
So in our next episode, we're going to talk about our trip to York. We're going to leave Bakewell and head north to York for a couple of days. And then after York, we end up in Corbridge.
Which is right next to Newcastle.
Yeah, right next to Newcastle. Toon Army. Woo! And then we head on, of course, into Edinburgh after that.
Yeah.
So you'll be looking for those podcasts too. And blog posts. All right, so don't forget to hit your subscribe button or check us out on our social media. Or, if you're looking to plan a trip, our blogs and guides and itineraries will help you out. And if you really want a specific one, just custom made for you, email us at wondering@uw4us, and Beth will make you one because I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
But Beth will do it.
Yeah,
I do everything else.
We're actually starting a new thing where I can help with itinerary planning. We're going to focus on Portugal first.
Yes, that's true. Because we know more about Portugal than anywhere else.
We do.
Yes.
However, if you were taking this kind of trip and wanted some advice about it or whatever, I could help with that.
Absolutely.
Too.
Since we're doing the road trips.
Yes.
All right. So I guess we will see you soon, and I will say
Boa tarde.